this tired street. Potholes dance beneath our feet. Promises fall like broken glass. The future hides behind the past. Is it the end or just the bend? Will we rise or let it end? Through the crime and through the haze, can we find brighter days? Trains don't run the way they should. Ports stand silent where they once stood. A nation's heart beats slow and low, fingers pointing where the blame should go. Is it the end or just the bend? Will we rise or let it end? Through the crime and through the haze, can we find brighter days? Chaos sings in whispered tones. Streets of silence cast their stones. Promises empty like open skies, but hope survives where truth lies. Is it the end or just the bend? Will we rise or let it end? Through the crime and through the haze, can we find brighter days?
Markiert hulle, geen kop.
Hoe ver is het op die Janie?
Hold me close till I get up. Time is barely on our side. I don't wanna waste what's left. The storms we chase are leading us, and love is all we'll ever trust. Yeah, no, I don't wanna waste what's left. And on we'll go, through the wastelands, through the highways, till my shadow turns to sun rays. And on we'll go, through the wastelands, through the highways, and on we'll go. Finding life along the way, melodies we haven't played. No, I don't want no rest. Echoing around these walls, fighting to create a song. I don't wanna miss a beat. And on we'll go, through the wastelands, through the highways, till my shadow turns to sun rays. And on we'll go, through the wastelands, through the highways, and on we'll go. turn us to thousands, and we'll grow in number, fueled by them to see the horizon, turn us to thousands, and on we'll go, through the wastelands, through the highways, till my shadow turns to sun rays, and on we'll go, through the wastelands, through the highways, and on we'll go.
This morning I'm sharing the stage with guinea fowl, and quite a few of them, as you can see. They're sharing the stage with guinea fowl and barking dogs in a residential area here in Somerset West.
Yeah, please.
Chuck Schumer and Nancy Pelosi, they've been talking about tariffs for decades.
How far does China have to go? How much more repression? How big a trade deficit and loss of jobs for the American worker?
It says to the Chinese that their unfair trade policies have got to end. It says to the Chinese, this is a shot across your bow. Reform, because if you don't, there are going to be dramatic consequences.
How come when these Democrat elites want tariffs, everything's hunky-dory, but when President Trump wants tariffs, all hell breaks loose? Do you see this double standard?
I love this guy. Whoever the hell that is. That's really nice. I appreciate that question. No, Chuck Schumer, Nancy Pelosi, everybody knew you had to do it, but they never had the guts to do it. It does take guts. It even takes guts for our country to go through it. That's why I say be cool. They were saying about, see, just be cool. It's going to work out. It's going to work out, and it's working out. I can tell you, working out maybe faster than I thought. But I said it's going to take a little conditioning. It's a transition to. It's really, I think it's a transition to greatness. It's going to be greatness. Our country is going to be. There'll be nothing like it, and people investing in our country, they're going to do better than they've ever done before.
I'm saying bye to all the lies and all the times you cried, saying that I wasn't right, yet I was right by your side. You manipulator, playing games, your friends commentators, and I don't know what you say about our private conversations, but it's got them hating. Thanks to all the rumors you be claiming. It's cool, I'm done with you, so they can throw you a celebration. You gon' hate it when you see me with somebody living better. I'm trying to tell you that me just doing me gon' have you jealous.
I do business in China. They don't play by the rules. They've been in the WTO for decades. They have never abided by any of the rules they agreed to when they came in for decades. They cheat, they steal IP. I can't litigate in their courts. They take product, technology, they steal it, they manufacture it, and sell it back here. Never has an administration.
400% tariffs? What would that look like?
I want Xi on an airplane to Washington to level the playing field. This is not about tariffs anymore. Nobody has taken on China yet, not the Europeans, no administration for decades. As someone who actually does business there, I've had enough. I speak for millions of Americans who have IP that have been stolen by the Chinese. I have nothing against the Chinese people. They brought great literacy, art, and tech to the world. The government cheats and steals, and finally, an administration, you may not like Trump, you may not like his style or his rhetoric, finally, an administration that puts up and says enough. 400% tariffs tomorrow morning. He'll tell you why. Xi can only stay the supreme leader if people are employed. If we wipe out any business there, because we are still 39% of all consumables on Earth and 25% of the world's GDP, America is the #1 economy on Earth with all the cards. We will not have that forever.
Kevin O'Leary, Mr. Wonderful from Shark Tank, saying exactly what Chris Wyatt has been telling you for years. We hold the cards. It's long overdue, the time to make them pay, Jakes has got 2 things for you if you've not seen it. What are those, Jakes? Thank you for sharing. Mr. Wonderful from the Shark Tank, telling it like it is. China's been cheating. I've been telling this over and over again. It's fascinating to see the response to Trump's. Okay, first off, let me explain something here very quickly. Earlier today, I made a video about the tariffs being paused for 90 days without having seen anything except Trump's tweet. I didn't see his Rose Garden comments. I didn't see any other media. And it is amazing just how pathetic people are, how Kool-Aid drinking, chibuku slugging, swilling, chilling people are across the planet, because the idiotic comments that came from people based on their educational background, based on their ethnic affinity, based on their origin was just comical. I started responding to the comments and the idiotic stuff, people going on, Trump blinked, Trump backed down, Trump played chicken. And like, what planet are you people on? What planet are you on? And one guy said that Trump, was a coward. He backed down from the tariffs against China when he never even backed out against China. In fact, he upped it to 125%. The tariffs are now 125%. And then the media, the leftist media. So people reading these media and forming their opinions. I formed my opinion independent of the news. The only thing I saw with the tariffs is that Trump had rescinded them for 90 days. I gave you my analysis independent of that. And I'll stick by my analysis that's correct. But everything else, people drinking the Kool-Aid, Donald Trump backed out because America's going to recession. No. And that's the first time I saw what Mr. Wonderful said right there with you. I didn't see that video before. I saw it was Mr. Wonderful. It was on CNN. I don't watch that. So I said, let's listen to what Mr. Wonderful's got to say, Kevin O'Leary. And Kevin O'Leary is spot on. Unbelievable just how people drink the Kool-Aid. Someone repeats it. Someone says something, Trump chickened out, Trump backed down, and then all the little sycophants who have the inability to think critically simply repeat the same BS over and over and over again. I tell you, of the millions of people with an opinion on this issue, virtually none of them actually thought through what they're saying. They just simply parroted what they were told to say by the media because they're not bright enough to think for themselves. And if that includes someone here, too bad for you. You need to learn critical thinking. Wow, I'm telling you, folks, I'm telling you. Again, when my viewers watch my stuff, don't believe me. Do the research for yourself if you want. You're welcome to watch my content. I appreciate it. And if you agree with me, fantastic. If you disagree with me, challenge me. That's great. Challenge is one thing. Call me names, another thing. So, you get someone's dander up and you start calling them names. But anyway, welcome to everybody in the chat. Wow, why am I stuck here? My chat's not going anywhere. All right, let me make sure we're still live after that. I see the chat not going anywhere. Yeah, we're still live. 198 folks currently here. Thank you for being here. All right, let me say hello, folks, in the chat. Shane Plath, Joshua Fundameva, Michael Cloty, Ludwig Hoyer, Shane Plath, Arnie Toys, I said Shane, sorry, Art Dodd, Trish Clements, Max Murray, Julie, Psycho Billy, Evan Handyman, Wendy Eggleton, Nathan Small, Americaners, All People, Gerard Benata, Syncmaster, Cycling Journeys, Amaze, Zim, Texas, Nathan Small, Peter Wick, Deval Duplessis, Sonia, welcome to you, Fight. Okay, the real Wesley Smith is here, Gerard. Deval says, probably knows that this is where we get the real news. Welcome to the news. Yeah, could be. Troy, Hawkeye, Flam, Yosei, Nico Gistin, welcome to you. China. Okay, Jake's has got something for me there. Sai, welcome back. Funk. Okay, Madeline. Mr. QB, thank you for the happy Thursday. It's still Wednesday for 12 more minutes. Last week's show called All In with David Sachs, David Feinberg. Quite a bit to say about China plagiarism. Anton Herman, Flux Capacitor, Super Smart Teams. I know it, that Super Smart Team. Okay. Odin's Viking, Jason Bernard, Trump playing chess. He's playing 4-dimensional chess, and people don't get it. Stray War, the other countries say they want to negotiate. You pause during peace talks. How hard? Yeah, exactly, Light Rain. So what? You just keep bombing people when they decide to come to the table? These people are stupid. They have no intellectual capacity whatsoever to think. Thank you, Light Rain. That's exactly right. The media keeps calling this a trade war. I never called it a trade war. I called it reciprocity, and then Trump called it reciprocity. He's doing his own thing. He didn't copy me. And if it's a trade war and Trump pauses, we go into a ceasefire. These people are stupid. They don't even see that. Fight. Trump is a genius, and he's got exactly what he wants. In my video, I said that he's brought these people to the table. He's given them 90 days. And if they're serious, and what is the ANC doing? Did they announce anybody coming to America? Nope. The whole day came and went. They didn't mention it once today. Didn't hear one thing from the ANC saying they're going to send people over to negotiate to get these tariffs lowered. After we just gave South Africa a gift of lowering the tariffs from 30% down to 10%, What are they going to do? Probably tomorrow call him Orange Man bad and say America's systemic racist and go on with their nonsense yet again. That's probably what we'll see tomorrow. Manny from Roy, welcome to you. Right, so that's what's going on with those things. So what's the reaction of the stock market? What have I told you about the stock market the past few days, right? The stock market is not the economy. It does affect people, of course. It affects me. I've got retirement set aside there. It affects millions of people got retirement. The stock market is not an indicator of how the economy is doing. The stock market was soaring, and the Democrats were telling you when Biden was in office, oh, the country's doing wonderful. Look at the stock market. I'm like, no, it's not. I mean, my portfolio may be doing well, but people aren't doing well. The country's in trouble. We're stagnating. We're going nowhere. Unemployment's low, but the country's going nowhere. Prices increase, inflation keeps going up, and we are losing purchasing power. That's what I've been saying for the last 4 years, and that's all been true. But what they said? Oh, look how the stock market has soared under Joe Biden. People who have tons of money making more money in the stock market doesn't do you and I any good unless you're invested fully in the stock market and you're trading every day and you're taking your profits. I don't take profits out of the stock market. I don't do that. So that doesn't help me. It doesn't help you. Maybe long term it does. But the point is that it's not GDP activity. It's artificial. It's like those people who are day traders. They trade stocks 30, 40, 50, 60 times a day and they make a few $100s. Like, ooh, look at me, I made money. No, you just gamble. You just put more money in. You pulled another ticket. You pulled another ticket. You pulled another ticket. That's not GDP growth. That's not an economy. That's artificial. That's nonsense. How much steel have you produced? How many widgets have you sold? How many people have you employed? How much capital have you invested to build new factories and new infrastructure? That's the economic growth. How much money have you invested in education to train people? How well do you train your workforce? How efficient is your workforce? What is the efficacy of your business? These are real things. These are tangible things, not the nonsense that's going on that we're hearing about all the time. And there's a super chat. Thank you. Where's my bell? There it is. Okay. I'm in Texas. All right. You were on Ronaldo's program today, weren't you? Okay. If the ANC sends delegations to the U.S., the U.S. will tell them to change the race-based laws. Yes, Tomahawk, but not on this issue. Not on this issue. The tariffs were imposed not because of race-based laws. The tariffs were imposed not because of abuse of Afrikaners or because of the position of foreign policy. They were imposed because South Africa has tariffs on us. You got to make the clear distinction here, folks. Now, that doesn't mean the Trump administration won't try to glom onto it. You may be correct in that analysis, but the tariffs, the pro forma reason that these tariffs were imposed was because of unfair trade practices from the South African government. Now, that's an interesting one from my perspective because we have allowed South Africa to have unfair trade practices. For 25 years, we've given you access to AGOA, and we got no reciprocity. So I think it's a little dishonest and unfair to South Africa to spank them for that. But Trump is correct in the other things, where we can't ship poultry there, not poultry, pork to South Africa because your insane rules against pork. So our pork is perfectly fine. It's the best in the world, but we can't ship it there because you put rules in place intentionally to prevent us from shipping pork there. We can only ship so much poultry because you limit us, quote, by quotas, accusing us of dumping, which we're not doing, imposing 75% tariff, which is outside the bounds of the World Trade Organization. That's why we are opposing the tariffs. Glenn Bota, welcome to you. Thank you for subscribing. Now, Adidas, wow, 15. Oh, goodness. I hate those things. Yeah, I would have a shotgun to deal with them. Yeah, Tomahawk says, I wish kept. Well, he has sent a message, Tomahawk. It has sent a message. But the problem is the ANC is probably not bright enough to actually pay attention. Now, I know that the ANC's got people watching the program right now. So let me take, if you're an intern working for the African National Congress, please take this back to your overlords. This was another clear gift to South Africa. Well, to the world, but South Africa in particular. Stop being asshats. Go back, put together proper people, and send them over to work out a deal, to work out something that's back in the benefit of South Africa. If you want the United States to let you stay in to go, if you want to go to survive, that's a different area. Then you're going to come back to that. You're going to have to talk about race-based laws. You have to talk about discrimination. You have to talk about the ANC's interfering in our foreign policy. Yeah, and supporting Iran, among other things. Yeah, that's right, Gerard. You can hear Fikele saying U.S. is bullying our chummy China. Yeah, well, China needs to be bullied. This has been going on for years, and no one's had the courage. I've been saying forever and ever and ever. Bill Clinton, who was bought and paid for by the Chinese, who sold U.S. military trade secrets and hardware and access to satellites to the Chinese spies when he was president. Yeah, the man committed treason. As president, his re-election campaign in 1996, the Chinese bought and paid for Bill Clinton. The evidence is there. It's produced. No one ever had the courage to prosecute Bill Clinton for his crimes. Bill Clinton sold us down the river to the Chinese, and it helped them grow. He sponsored their entry into the World Trade Organization. Look what we have 25 years later. A rapacious, thieving, kleptocratic, criminal cabal that commits genocide against Uyghur Muslims, and the world looks the other way. The world looks the other way. And we have idiots in South Africa and around Africa and around the world going, look at the Chinese, they have a great model. Well, sure, when you oppress people, when you suppress liberty, when you imprison people for their speech, when you execute people who don't commit the criminal policies of your criminal government, when you steal IP, when you steal copyright, when you do trademark infringements, when you put barriers up to everyone coming to your economy, and when industry titans from around the world collude with you to take advantage of your slave-like labor and your low cost, and you pollute the planet with more pollution than anybody else by building 350 coal-fired power plants every year while claiming to be a green energy giant, sure, you can rise to be such amazing power. But the rest of the world doesn't have the ability to pull off that like China does. No one else has 1.5 billion souls sitting on their ass with nothing to do, starving to death, looking for a better life. Yep. South Africa has 35 million souls sitting on their ass looking for SASA handouts with nothing better to do with their life. Taking Israel to the ICJ has nothing to do with these tariffs, whatsoever. That's the executive order. And it's their overlords. It's their overlords. Most of us are born into a world being slapped around by made in China. If Trump can end this dangerous stranglehold in the USA, then my hat off to him because stuff China. I hate them. Virtual Western Cape, I'm with you there. Gaina Mula. Hello, good man. Well, that's very kind of you to say that. Thank you. They won't thank you. They will release press statements saying they're beating USA. Yeah, it probably will. They bought U.S. chicken bulk before it tastes like chicken, not local fish tasting chicken. Hey, the Hot Full Bikers is here. Does this mean that the countries have 9 days reduced their tariffs to go back to... Correct, Alfonso Ferrer. That's exactly what it means. But Trump backed out. Trump gave in. Trump caved. That's what people are saying on my chat, and now I'm seeing it. See, I saw that because I made my video. I did my analysis, independent. It's like someone asked me, did I make a video about Nazir Paulson, about what happened? When I first looked at my device this morning, when I had a break to go out and make a video, it wasn't about Nazir Paulson. I saw that Ronaldo Hussen made a video about Nazir. So I went, without watching Ronaldo, I went to look and see if he'd done anything. I couldn't find anything in Twitter. I couldn't find anything on media. Couldn't find anything about Nazir Paulson saying something about Israel and America. Ronaldo found it, and then Ronaldo made a video. Well, I don't watch other people's videos to form my opinions. I prefer to make my own video, and if I'm in agreement with them, I'm in agreement with them. If I'm disagree with them, I have different points, then that's great. That's what you want, right? You don't want us all in the same, a lot of people think that people just sit around and watch you. I know journalists in South Africa watch YouTube content, and that's how they come up with news articles. And people say the same thing. We read the news articles to come up with content. True, but that's because we're rubbishing what you say because you're telling people propaganda. Anyway, but so I didn't watch it. So I made my video, and then I left it alone, didn't see it for hours, and then late in the afternoon, I got a chance after working my raspberry bushes, and I saw that people were commenting and saying that Trump backed down, he cowardly, and he chickened out, and that's why. So I'm like, you know what you're talking about. Trump is a master actor here. He knows what he's doing, master tactician, master strategist. So then this evening, when I checked the mail, I looked at news articles, and now I see where these people are getting their ideas from. They didn't come to their own volition. I'm like, how do you come up with that? Well, it's because the media are telling you what to say and what to believe in. It's just amazing how effective the legacy media are to this day. Despite the fact that they lie to people every day, we know they lie to people. We prove they lie to people every day, and people still believe what they have to say. Chinese model is 200 people dying in mines each week. Yep, exactly. You can send business people over to have talks. Ron Post must pull his head out of the gutter because international trade is business and affects our economy. Exactly, Mr. QB. Good morning, Thomas Holmes. But yes, Alfonso Ferrer, it means they've got 90 days to work out something with Trump. Yep. My view is China's so great, why are the citizens scattered all over the world? Well, Mr. Hideful Bikers, my view of China's so great, then why don't they have free speech? My view is, if they're so great, why did they undermine the model of Hong Kong, one of the most successful economic hubs on the planet? They've destroyed Hong Kong. Yep. Makes sense why this including the Chinese in the definition of black people for purposes of broad-based. Yeah, it does, doesn't it, Andres? Okay. Aints will never listen to anyone, nor will they figure out why the tariffs are imposed. Their rhetoric will be the U.S. is punishing us and we must not back down. Yeah, towards Western white supremacists. Because they're just that stupid. Yep. Yep, Tom Hawk, you're right. Same story, different day. All right, well, what happened in the meantime? Just exactly what I told you would happen. Calm down, the stock market isn't real, but look at this. U.S. stock indexes skyrocket following Trump's tariff pause. Look at that. Look at that. The Dow Jones Industrial Average grew by 2,900 points. When I report on it, it was only up to 2,300. By the end of the day, it was 2,900, nearly 3,000 points. It's the largest gain in ages. NASDAQ went up by 12%. 12%. U.S. stock indexes surged today following an announcement from President Trump that he'll pause reciprocal tariffs for most countries except for China. The S&P 500 soared 9.5%. Dow Jones Industrial Average increased by nearly 3,000 points, while the NASDAQ shot up 12%. In his latest move, Trump said he would suspend targeted tariffs on other countries for 90 days to allow time for U.S. officials to negotiate with the countries that have sought to reduce them. Somebody had to pull the trigger. I was willing to pull the trigger. I was watching the bond market. The bond market's very tricky. I was watching it, but if you look at it now, it's beautiful. The bond market right now is beautiful. But yeah, I saw last night, people were getting a little queasy. It's perfectly reasonable for someone to say the trade was unfair. They were unfair to trade things. I think they have the value-added tax wrong. How they understand it, well, that's Jamie Dimon. So White House Press Secretary Karen Leavitt and other officials said that a 10% baseline tariff will be left intact for nearly every country except China, whose rates were raised by Trump. He raised it to 125%. This was the strategy all along, is what the Treasury Secretary said. And you might even say that he goaded China into a bad position. They responded. They've shown themselves to the world to be a bad actor. See, that's the news right there. That is the news right there. China has showed their ass. China showed just how corrupt and dishonest they are. Rather than discuss it or lower their barriers and their blockages of goods coming into their country, China doubled down and raised their tariffs by the same amount, reciprocating Trump's 84%. So Trump raises 125. Let's see who blinks first. The media wants to believe America will blink first. The media wants you to believe we're in a recession. The media wants you to believe lots of things. Well, you decide for yourself. I haven't seen CyberX. So please renewed your subscription. Who renewed their subscription? China makes cheap rubbish, could not be bothered to buy their crap. They're wasting the world's resources. Good morning, Xavier. Hey, Army 3275. Busy home improvements. My father. Okay. Looks like you're spending a lot of time in the States there. Tomahawk says 12% should have bought. Well, relax. It's going to go back down. People are going to spaz out over this thing. It's not over yet. Believe they will mess this up as well. Yeah, I think they got another chance and they're going to screw it up. Trump knows exactly what he's doing. Like he says, I know what the hell I'm doing. The ultimate puppet master. Imagine we're not one of the 75. No, I don't think you are, Amanda, and I think that but you're still going to get your tariffs lowered to 10%, and you already see it in the press in South Africa how they're reacting to it. So, amazed. Glad Army continue. Okay. Anyway, all right. So, yeah. So we showed the two Trump videos. Okay. So let's look what the news has to say. Donald Trump announces 90-day pause on implementation of tariffs. That's it. That was an immediate story breaking. But that story broke this evening. Imbecilic, predictable, brain dead, says Pookie Rabbit. All that bravado and then this. See, these people are idiots. Two comments. All this bravado. What bravado? Trump is a master class. Trump's trade war, and the News 24 tries to tell you the United States is in recession. South Africa could be spared from recession. South Africa's in recession already. Your economy is behind inflation. You're negative growth when inflation's implemented. Now they try to say that the impact on South Africa is negligible. Given that only 1.3% of South Africa's GDP is affected by the tariffs, South Africa may avoid a recession. Oh, dear God. Oh, dear God. Oh, dear God. That's simply not true. 1.3% of your GDP? No. Two-way trade is $20 billion a year. That's 5% of South Africa's GDP. 5%, including stuff we sell you and stuff that we buy from you. That's 5% of GDP. So all of it's affected. Oh, a few months. Okay, Army. Okay. But it wasn't your friend, Tomahawk. Okay. Grayling says, the last 9 months you've proven mainstream media are blatant liars and unbalanced with ulterior motives. I've been proving it for 5 years, Xavier. But yeah, really put pressure on the past 5 months. What photos, Gerard? Thank you, University. You talk straight to the point. Well, yeah. This is very misleading. The combination of sharp sentiment shocks, declining household wealth, and sharply higher import costs is likely to prompt a broader pullback in business investment and hiring, said Old Mutual economist Johan Els, adding that the recent tariff moves were the most aggressive in modern U.S. history. On Wednesday, China announced it would retaliate with 104 tariff for its exports by imposing 84% tariff on all U.S. goods. Currently, the U.S. represents 17% of global trade. Exactly. So people are trying to make the argument that the U.S. is the one going to suffer when we... Anyway. Only 1.3% of South Africa's GDP is affected by these tariffs. South Africa is expected to avoid a recession. Els believes it could expect steeper interest rate cuts than forecast. Patel Bharat, thank you for your subscription. Namaste. So, but I'm not buying this. Currently, South Africa exports 8% of its goods to the U.S., which will now charge an import tax of 31%. No, now it'll be 10%. Mining commodities, more than half exports to the U.S. have been exempted from tariffs. This alone accounts for $61 billion. As a result, the macroeconomic impact of South Africa will likely be felt more acutely in specific industries such as agriculture and vehicle manufacturing, rather than across the broader economy. Well, the tariff on cars remains at 25% for South Africa. That's devastating. It makes your cars unaffordable. It takes away your artificial advantage of AGOA access with duty-free exports to the United States. And that is over $2 billion per year. That alone, just those car exports are a quarter of a point of GDP. 1/4 of a point. But it's not that quarter of a point. It's the 145,000 jobs in the industry tied to those cars, those 25,533 cars shipped to America, those 145,000 jobs, the people who manufacture the parts throughout South Africa, from all the different companies that produce those parts, that supply those cars, all of their tens of thousands of jobs, the raw materials that come in to make those parts, the jobs for people who produce the raw materials, the transport of those parts, all those people, all of this ecosphere of hundreds of thousands of jobs are impacted. So these people who are economists, that's their analysis. They don't talk about the ripple effect of this. Look, folks, when ArcelorMittal fires 3,500 people, when they make them redundant, that's not the end of the story. The restaurants where those people go, the people that they shop at, the ShopRites, the Pick and Pays, the Checkers, the tuck shops, all of these things suffer. It's idiotic, this analysis. If anyone thinks that the loss of the U.S. automobile market for South Africa is not going to harm South Africa's economy and push you, if you're not already in a recession, which I think you are, into one for sure, then they are not honest with you. They're not honest. Not honest. Portfolio manager at 91, Dwayne Cable, said the GNU is being pushed to the brink during budget talks had resulted in investors quickly selling government bonds in the past few weeks. He said investors don't want to fall in the trap of GNU over-optimism and so-called Ramaphoria. Well, maybe you should have listened to me in 2018, 2019, 2020, 21, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah. Steep U.S. rate cuts could also help pave the way. Els expects the Federal Reserve to cut interest rates by at least 125 basis points from June onwards. Now, that's a decent expectation, but we'll have to wait and see. Robert Lawrence, a U.S. trade expert, believes the chance the Federal Reserve cutting interest rates were low, the opposite of what Els has to say. Lawrence is professor of national trade investment at the Kennedy School at Harvard, told the Center for Development Enterprise event on Wednesday, I foresee the U.S. entering a period of stagflation because of supply shock and domestic price increases, and certainly any chance of an interest rate cut by the Fed, which is now very low. The U.S. will not be able to maintain its high economic growth rate of recent times. Well, the United States has not had a high economic growth. We've had an average economic growth from between 1.8 and 2.8% in recent years. We've had a couple quarters where we jumped up to 3%, but we've not had a high rate. A high rate for our economy would be 3.2% to 4% annually. That would be a high rate. We haven't achieved 4% in a while. So that's a mistake there. Also, stagflation, there's a very real possibility we could see deflation. With 125% tariffs on goods coming from China, people will simply look for alternatives or buy less. No one's going to pay 125%. I mean, look, if you raise tariffs 10%, those costs will be pushed on the consumer, and you will increase prices. Inflation will put pressure on the economy. But when you increase prices by 125%, people just quit buying. People quit traveling. It's the same thing with energy. When oil hits $100, $150 a barrel, people stop taking vacations. They stop traveling, those who can't afford it. Demand for oil drops. The price of oil drops. It balances out eventually. Man, let's talk about the ANC stealing pensions. Tyrone says, the only thing I understand is South Africa has no idea what they're doing. Yeah, you're right. P.A. Bull says, these people live in a bubble. They believe the government and news trash and keep people uninformed. Yep. So-called economist ANC regime only spouts the same nonsense that leadership keeps vomiting and just proves their true nature is me, me, me. Exactly. Hey, Shawnee Gross, what's going on? Time to feed the lions and pull the elephant out of the garage. South Africa, screw the ANC, will drag this country to a point where civil unrest will become reality. Well, that seems to be what they want. That seems to be what they want. All right, on to the news. Trump announces a 90-day pause on tariffs, slaps China with a 125% tariff increase. I'm hereby raising the tariff charge of China by the United States to 125% effect immediately. At some point, hopefully in the near future, China will realize the days of ripping off the USA and other countries is no longer sustainable or acceptable. Conversely, and based on the fact that more than 75 countries have called representatives of the United States, including the Departments of Commerce, Treasury, and U.S. Trade Representatives, to negotiate a solution to the subjects being discussed relative to trade barriers, tariffs, currency manipulation, non-monetary tariffs, and that these countries have not, at my strong suggestion, retaliated in any way, shape, or form against the United States, I have authorized a 90-day pause and a substantially lowered reciprocal tariff during this period of 10%. Thank you for your attention to this matter. That's what Trump had to say. But Trump is backing down? No. So the Washington Post says Trump announces pause and reciprocal tariffs for all countries but China. Stock markets surged. Tumult in the bond markets had raised fears the United States might be in the early stages of financial turmoil. There's Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent. I think that's Carolyn Levitt standing behind him. President Trump on Wednesday paused new tariffs on most imports, sparking a swift rally in the stock market. In the midday Post and Truth Social said tariffs 125% in Chinese imports would take effect immediately. Everybody wants the deal, actually, Trump said from the White House. And we want to do what's right for our country. We also want to do what's right for the world. The world is important. He added that he was open to meeting with Chinese leader Xi Jinping, but they haven't treated our country right. Stocks rebounded Wednesday, but are still down for the year. Again, stock market is not real life. What you're seeing is a once-in-a-lifetime relief rally on hopes, and I use that word tentatively, says Joe Bruselas, chief economist at RSM. Still does not remove the risk of recession. So the NASDAQ, the S&P 500, and the Dow Jones are almost back to where they started the year. The EFF are already pushing their non-white agenda at varsities by trying to bar white students access to premises. Well, boy, kumbaya, the Rainbow Nation. There's no threat to ethnic minorities in South Africa. That's just, Trump's mistaken. He's misinformed. Didn't you know that? Trump got it wrong. People gave him the wrong information. Someone's misleading Trump. Yeah, he doesn't know what he's talking about. He's just a white devil, right? Yeah, of course. Someone sent me the link to the new AfriForum documentary. I didn't realize it was about Adrian Vos, the man who was just shot in the leg, his knee obliterated. Shot in the lung, a bullet still in his lung, survived 6 bullets hitting him, and managed to get away, and then they burned his house in spite. Yeah, I didn't realize they interviewed him. Garth McCarthy, welcome to you. By the way, he has no farm workers. He did all the farming on his own, and he was still targeted, and they tried to murder him. They tried to assassinate him. Yeah, this is very real, folks. It's very real. And it's not just standard crime. And I'm not going to fall in the trap that other people claim that it's the G word, because that's not what it is. But it is gangsterism. It is an intentional effort to terrorize rural farmers and drive them from the farms. That's what it's been all along. Oh, but it's just workers who are trying to get even because their feelings are hurt or because they've been mistreated. No, this guy doesn't have any workers. He doesn't employ anybody. He does all of it himself. And they tried to assassinate him. Why? Because we can't have successful white people on farms. We can't have successful brown people on farms. Can't have successful black people on farms. Only rabid, lunatic losers can own land. Yep. Yeah, Mal. But that's just one. There are so many of these stories, and some of them are hard. A lot of these people can't speak. They've been mutilated. They're dead. They're executed. It's horrible. Max Murray, I have not seen the report about they can't keep up with demand. No, I wouldn't be surprised if China's depopulating. I mean, they're ridiculously Orwellian policies of, terminating female babies. Yeah, unbelievable. Allowing people to only have one child. The U.S. has no intelligence. They're all dumb. They believe all the misinformation. These are not the drones you're looking for. Yeah. How about some good news? All right. Okay, well, I didn't have any good news for you. I just had... So why Trump blinked on tariffs? I'll get some good news here shortly. Treasury Secretary helped persuade the president to take time to negotiate with trading partners in the face of pressure. Well, he was already negotiating with us, so I'm not sure how the Treasury Secretary got him to do that.
Can you walk us through your thinking about why you decided to put a 90-day pause?
Well, I thought that people were jumping a little bit out of line. They were getting yippy, you know. They were getting a little bit yippy, a little bit afraid, unlike these champions, because we have a big job to do. No other president would have done what I did. No other president. I know the presidents. They wouldn't have done it. And it had to be done. What was happening to us on trade, not only with, you know, if you look at it, not only with China, but China was by far the biggest abuser in history, and others also, but somebody had to do it. They had to stop because it was not sustainable. Last year, China made $1 trillion off trade with the United States. That's not right. And now I've reversed it. It's for a short period of time, but we made $2 billion. We're making now $2 billion a day. And somebody had to do it. Roger actually said it. Charles Schwab was here a little while ago, one of the great financial people, and he said he's been waiting for 40 years for somebody to do what I did over the last month. And if you didn't do it, you wouldn't have a country. It wouldn't be sustainable. So
spot on, and that's exactly right, Trump. It took 40 years. Yeah, someone did it finally. So these people running around don't know what they're talking about with Trump. The guy's a master class. He's playing bluff poker with him. Yep, he is. He is. And he's giving him 90 days. And then when it comes back, I mean, look, no, Trump did not meet with Iran today, to my knowledge, Shawnee. U.S. representatives were meeting Iran. We don't have a diplomatic mission in Tehran. We haven't since 1979. Our interests are handled by the Swiss delegation. So whenever we want to communicate diplomatically with the mullahs in Iran, we have to go through the Swiss delegation that has a mission there. But we are meeting on Saturday, I think in Dubai or somewhere like that, with the Iranians about this. And a lot of people are saying the Americans are going to negotiate. We're not negotiating. The American representatives are going to talk to Iran and tell them this is what you're going to do. And if you don't do it, there will be consequences. End of discussion. So let me tell you in advance right now, if what comes out of this weekend's meeting on Saturday between Iran and the United States is, oh, well, look, they couldn't reach an agreement. It's not about an agreement. They're going to be read the Riot Act. They're going to be given a chance. Here's your options. You want to do this? Then this is the path you can go. You want to be antagonistic and pursue this nuclear weapon and keep threatening people by funding terrorists? Then you will pay price. That's not negotiation. It reminds me of, did I save that? I saved it somewhere. Send in a negotiator. Then Bruce Willis comes in and shoots the alien in the head. Anyone else want to negotiate? Yeah. Swiss delegation Saturday. Okay, he was serious about it. Oh, yeah, he's serious about consequences. Absolutely. Yep. Yeah, so Sai says DJ Champ is lenient and fair. Too many want to negotiate in a short period of time. Excellent strategist. America first. Yep. The fifth element. That's right, Charles. I had that saved. I put it in one of my videos. Send in the negotiator. I don't think I saved it as that. Let me see if I... no, I didn't. Darn it. That sucks. But I did. Let me see if maybe I saved that clip. I love that clip. Come on, man. I think downloads. I don't remember when I did that. It was a while ago I did that video, so it's going to be a hard time to find it. So, but I love that clip from The Fifth Element. Send a negotiator. You want me to go in? Okay, you go. Anyone else want to negotiate? Too funny, man. That was so great. It's here somewhere. I got so many files downloaded here. Anyway. Oh, my goodness. I got to save a bunch of these things and use them. So, what's that? Hang on a second. I jumped ahead there. Oh, there it is. At least you remember. Yeah. I'm not seeing it here, but I know I got it somewhere. Oof, that was terrible. That picture someone sent me. Now, I have noticed that a lot of people have been coming to the channel lately. They're coming here and checking out, and they show such interest, and they ask all their questions. We answer their questions, and we never see them again. That's fine. No one's required to be here. Yep. Yeah, but as I predicted, a lot of people just users and get what they want, and then they hit the road. It happens. So I'm grateful to all the people that have come here and are sticking with us and like what we're doing. Really do appreciate that. It's very much appreciated. So anyway, I'm not going to be able to find this thing. I got lots of stuff here of everything. The Canadians. This is so cool. Check out this picture here, folks. Let me show you this image. This is from out on the lake when I recorded my video after Rebecca Davis rubbished me in the Daily Maverick, and I made that video. Check this out. I need to use this as wallpaper. This is beautiful. I didn't realize how pretty this photo was until I just looked at it just now. Look at that. Isn't that amazing with cattails in the front? It's a late winter image there of the lake. That's pretty cool, huh? I don't know if we're paying off our debts. It would be nice if we are. That would really be nice, but I wouldn't hold my breath on that. It's good you answer the questions, though, Holden. What did you say before that? Yeah, CR says they don't listen to business. And then Trump is meeting with businessmen. He's meeting with all these businessmen to discuss trade. Hey, Lawrence, welcome to you. Time for condensed milk and biscuits. Well, you guys love those things. Trump must hold the line. Don't go back on the way things were done. Perfect little lake. Want to sit on there on a boat and chill. Yeah, it's a great fishing spot, too. Linziki says, my favorite podcast. I missed an episode to catch up. I don't miss an episode. All right, well, Linziki, good to see you there. Xavier says, CR has the opportunity to really cement itself as the greatest. Xavier just abandoned ANC socialists and scrappy. Well, he's not going to do that. Marius says, the only YouTube channel where you can actually hear the factual news. Well, thank you for that, Marius. Okay. If we weren't required to stay, then why is there a chain around my leg? Okay. Yeah. That was Heinrich Havanga. Okay. Make a note of that. Yeah. Mm-hmm. You got his location? Geolocate. Yeah. Hang on, Heinrich. Okay. Heinrich, we know that you're at Four Ways. There'll be a knock on your door in the next 12 minutes. Answer the door and cooperate with those who've come. And you'll be allowed to stay on the program. Natasha Posthumous, welcome to you. Andre Brits, Colonel Made Americanas. Truthfulness is better than any other content. I might not always be around, but I'm way too nosy to ever leave, says Nicolette. Okay, all right. I'd like to see Trump make efforts to upgrade our power systems. Yeah, no, well, some of our infrastructure definitely is outdated, but it's not a surprise. I mean, it's such a massive, I mean, we have billions and millions of miles of road that have to be maintained. And the winters are terrible, man. Heinrich is laughing. I'm serious, man. You better answer that door. 11 minutes. We're counting. ANC don't meet anybody except their comrades for lunch. Yep. Picked up on Cybrex. Okay, Cy. Okay. Yeah, so Trump blinked. Well, Trump didn't blink. Trump is working out a plan here. And this is what the Washington Post says. Trump caved on tariffs. That's what they say. That's not my conclusion. Yes, the safe haven status of U.S. Treasury is under review in the Trump era. President Trump is pushing the economy into a recession. That's a statement. See, this is listed as opinion, and that's correct. The Washington Post gets it under opinion. So Heather Long, let's see who Heather Long is. I've never heard of Heather Long. Let's see who she is. Okay. Went to Wellesley. Lesbo Central. BA Economics and English. Okay. Oxford University Master's of Financial Resources. Well, it sounds like she should be qualified. Senior economics editor at CNN. Okay. So Heather says he caved. Okay. And this is an opinion. Okay. President Trump is pushing the economy into recession, she says. Early signs are already apparent for auto worker layoffs in Indiana and Michigan, a stock market sell-off in recent days, and Americans pulling back on spending. But as Trump's tariffs took effect in the wee hours of Wednesday morning, something even more alarming occurred. Panic in the bond markets. Investors started dumping U.S. government bonds. They sold and sold and sold. This is not normal. Typically, U.S. government bonds are a safe haven. Whenever stocks tank or turmoil around the world, investors rush to buy plain vanilla bonds from U.S. Treasury and bury us further in debt. It's the equivalent of chicken soup for unhealthy markets, but suddenly, these bonds turned bitter. Ultimately, Trump caved to the bond markets. He admitted to reporters that people were getting a little queasy in the bond market. He didn't want to follow the fate of British Prime Minister Liz Truss, who resigned after a similar bond market fiasco in reaction to her policies. So there you go. This is what they're saying. Yields spiked as investors exit treasuries on Wednesday morning. Well, for those smart investors who are buying treasuries that are lower in price, have higher yields, brilliant. Now you can get a bond at 5% on a 30-year yield. You can get a 10-year yield for 4.5%. So there you go. The bond market freakout demonstrates just how much damage has already occurred. There are a lot of reasons why investors wanted to sell. Some wanted to invest elsewhere in the world. Others needed to exit bonds, have cash on hand. But at heart, it all came down to the same belief. The United States is no longer looking rock solid. Well, Heather Long, the United States doesn't look rock solid. We can't continue this ridiculous Ponzi scheme of taking money and spending money we don't have, burying us further in debt. What kind of economist are you, Heather? What kind of economist are you to ignore the debt? And it's just the federal debt you're ignoring. You're ignoring state, county, municipal debt, corporate debt, consumer debt, mortgage debt, unfunded pension liabilities, $250 trillion worth of debt. No one can sustain that. It has to be stopped. It has to be stopped. And if it was simply because we're uncompetitive, we don't produce sufficient goods, we don't have the talent, the entrepreneurialism, then it would be one thing. We'd be consigned to the dustbin of history. But it's not. It's because people are cheating. They're stealing. They're lying. They're eating the dogs. They're eating the cats. They're eating the pets of the people in Springfield. Good Lord. People are taking strain. Chris, that chat didn't shift Ronaldo last night, and he didn't appear on Ronaldo's side. I don't know what to tell you there, Tom Alls. We don't even know if that person's even real. So, I wouldn't get too excited about it. First off, if someone comes in with that sort of ideation in the middle of a chat, there's not really much you can do. And if that's real and that person did intend to do that, that's unbelievably selfish, even more selfish than Ronaldo was saying, to put that burden on people now. So I would suggest, Maz, that you forget about it. And if the person reappears, wonderful. And hopefully, if that person was genuine about what they're doing, they didn't take those steps. And I think that's enough about that subject. There's nothing you can do about it. You don't even know if it's a real person, okay? And if it is a real person, you don't know where they're at or who they are or how you could possibly help them. And it was unbelievably selfish to say such a thing in my chat, okay? But people who do that are selfish. Whether they mean it or not, they are. Is that when you shake up everything, the good tends to stick. Yep. How dare the U.S. try to get themselves out of debt? Exactly. Intelligence and ANC don't fit in the same sense. I think you're right about that. Trump's medicine is bitter, but ultimately it's good. Yes, Peter O'Connor, exactly. Someone had to do it. If we'd taken this step 30 years ago, we wouldn't be in this bind. But now we are spending $1 trillion a year on the debt. $1 trillion while borrowing $2 trillion every year, paying back $1 trillion. We're borrowing $2 trillion to pay back $1 trillion. So half the money we borrow is already gone to pay the debt. I don't understand Heather Long and what kind of economic logic she's got there. She's an economist? I'm sorry, man. You're not a very bright economist. Not a very bright economist. Yeah, Democrats are the same. We need to spend money we don't have. Exactly. Rudy says, hi, just want to ask if, in general, if anyone else here having issues with applying for passports. Take passports, but cannot get an appointment. Well, Rudy, you have to understand that that nobody in South Africa is going to take up this offer. Trump's offer isn't real. You're going to live in FEMA tents. There's no interest in South Africa. We know this. Agri-SA, Johan Kutz has told us this. The ANC has told us this. All the media in South Africa said it's not real. So I don't know why you're having trouble getting a passport. Nobody in South Africa needs a passport right now. They couldn't possibly be booked up with all the appointments gone. I mean, Rudy, I don't have much sympathy for you, man. I think you're spreading fake news because nobody's coming to America. Nobody's interested in this refugee program. I mean, I haven't been working my ass off since, February 7th, doing 2 times a day live streams just because, for the hell of it. But apparently, so no, there's no interest. I don't know why you'd have a problem there unless it's just the typical ANC bureaucrats who are hired because they're patronage puppies and they have no skills and they have no manners. So I don't know what's going on there. I don't know why you're having trouble getting passports. That's unfortunate. I'm sad to hear that. That's a really terrible thing to hear about. But I don't know what to tell you, man, because that just can't possibly be true, because I've heard on good authority that the ANC says nobody's coming, man. Nobody's coming. You're not coming here because you've been living in FEMA tents. They're eating the dogs. They're eating the cats. They're eating the pets, the people in Springfield. Man. Okay, but seriously, back to your comment. The problem is that Home Affairs is swamped. They're already ineffective and inefficient. Many officers around the country begin with. Now they're swamped because tens of thousands of people are getting passports. Now, why are all these South Africans who've never had a passport suddenly interested in a passport? Are they all going to Mauritius on holiday? No, they're not. Heidi Roberts gives an idea for you there. Book a passport appointment at one of the banks who do it. It's done electronically, so you don't have to deal with people and have to stand in line. My other option is to tell you to go to another office. Where's he at here? Sorry. I hope you didn't take it the wrong way. I was being facetious there. Had nothing to do with you. Where did it go? There it is. It's Rudy Kutsia. Yeah, Rudy, seriously, I don't know where you're at. You might try another office. We've had all kinds of experiences of people who've been on the chat. People say they booked an appointment at the bank and they went in a couple days later, had their passport. Other people went to the office, showed up, got their stuff within a couple hours. Other people filed a month ago. They haven't heard back from anybody. So I don't know what to tell you. It's typical bureaucracy, but people are trying to get passports left and right. So, yep. So, after some thought, I realized that I did not see the name before in the chat, and he or she got the attention silence, someone trying to spam. Exactly, Alts. That's what I'm trying to tell you. Now, I think that my reaction was an appropriate reaction. Not to ignore the person, but to address it, because if it's real, then to ignore it would have been heartless, okay? So if we were being played, then we're being played. That happens too. So I think the response was good, and then, we addressed that. So I'd never seen the person before, so, yep. Rudy says, good one, Colonel. They're eating the dogs, they're eating the cats, they're eating the pets of the people in Springfield. Why is the U.S. targeting us? Maybe we should send that lady to Washington. Day 91. Day 91 of what? Of what? Trump became president January 20th, February, March, April 20th. He hasn't been president for 90 days yet. What are you talking about, 91? Yeah. Did you like that video I did, Xavier, about the South African economist? Yeah. Look, man, I should just come to South Africa and become incredibly wealthy, because my advice would lead to much better investment outcomes than these people come up with. That's for darn sure. 67,000 people, that's right, Virtual Western Cape, 67,042 heads of household expressed their non-interest in the program to of all people, the South African Chamber of Commerce USA, who has nothing to do with immigration or with refugee status or with asylum or anything to do with people coming to America. They're just there to promote business interest in South Africa and the U.S. So 67,000 there, 27,000 that we know of, I think it's up to 30,000 plus now, have expressed no interest to the Amerikaners group. And we know that over 30,000 people wrote to the embassy just for the sake of writing the embassy going, hi, I'm in South Africa and I thought I'd write to you since you're talking about this refugee thing. I have no interest in it whatsoever. It's all lies. They're lies. There are hundreds of thousands of people that are interested in here. And notice how no one's talking about that anymore. Since I made that video, since I made my video saying how many people were actually there were some stories to try to rubbish it by claiming other nonsense with that New York Times story saying only 8,200 people. Then they said only 8,000. Then they said 100 people. Notice the disinformation coming out here. I gave actual numbers based on analysis of what information is available. I also even allowed for the fact that there were duplication of effort there, that some of them weren't, some of the same people went and wrote to all three places. And so I came with a figure that's reasonable. Now that I've done that and rubbished the mainstream media's lies, no one's talking about the numbers anymore. No one's talking about it. Isn't that funny? Somerset West Home Affairs is a mess. Okay. All right. Thank you for that. Fight. I'll keep that in mind if I need home affairs in Somerset West. Anthony von Black. Only one passport machine in South Africa is broken for the last few months. Well, Jakes, that's not true. That's not true. There's no way that's true. If it's been broken for a few months, then how have all these people gotten passports in the past month and a half? Hundreds of people have come to my channel, and people have sent me pictures of their passport covering up the data stuff. So there's no way that what you're saying is true. Your economists rarely look at debt because they have eye patches like a horse. Exactly. Yeah, they have blinders on, Heinrich. All right, Folk Funk, take care. When they dreamt up the FEMA tent, someone was watching Scarface, the first part of the movie showing refugees coming in boats. And probably, I've never seen that movie. Yeah, Virtual Western Cape's laughing about something I said. Did the online application got to bank? Only supports 4 major banks. Tried to make a booking. No slots. Mailed. No response. All right, so Ian's having trouble as well. Okay, there you go. So Sam just said 40,000 now. 27, it was 24,000 was the first number we reported, then 27, then I said over 30,000. They have 40,000, yep. Do not believe New York Times or Washington Post. Nope, I don't either. And Rohan's daughter's passport's available next week. Been told to pick it up next week. There you go. Super chat. There are no super chats, man. What are you talking about? I guess PA Bull. Are you in Pennsylvania? People are leaving the country daily. The other country, just old people left and few who have work. Sounds like Zimbabwe. Trump said their 2025 budget almost done. I think we should get an update after that. Yeah, no, I'll update you on the budget when it's finally out there. But there's shenanigans going on in Congress. I keep referring latecomers to this channel. Thank you, Gerard. I appreciate that. Great Trek 2.0, at least 250,000. Yeah, no, that's Xavier. That's I think that's the minimum baseline number we can work with is 250,000 people. Yep, 250,000 people minimum. Yep. Yeah, it's all right, Heinrich. I know it's not your first language, brother. Es ist ja kein Problem. Es ist ja nicht einfach, alles immer etwas auf eine andere Sprache zu aussprechen oder erklären. Man muss mal bedenken darüber, wie war das Wort? Wie sagt man das dann eigentlich? Ja, das Wort habe ich vergessen. Das war im Kopf und jetzt ist weggeflogen. Yeah. No, so it's difficult sometimes to find those words. You know, it's funny for me because German was such a big part of my brain at a young age, in my early 20s, that I dreamt in German. And there's still times today when I can think of the word in German, but I can't think of it in English. English is my first language. Maybe Noto Beloy is right. Maybe he is more erudite than those pigmentationally challenged who struggle with our own first language, which isn't his first language. Maybe he's more erudite than I am. No, but seriously, sometimes I think of the word in German, I can't think of it in English. And that's because, you know, some languages are much, you know, like Afrikaans the same way. It's much more precise, certain words in other languages, you know. And the problem with English, it's a great language. The problem with English, though, is that we've incorporated so many things. We've incorporated Norman French. We've incorporated Scandinavian languages, Frisian and Danish and Norwegian and Celtic languages and Latin and Anglos and Saxons and all that stuff to form English. And sometimes we have very precise meanings. Sometimes we have multiple words that mean the same thing. We have a very rich language. But sometimes you miss the nuance you get from other languages. And some things are just not simple. We can't simply just make a noun up in English like you do in German, you know. Bustenhalter, a breast holder, a Bustenhalter, a bra, or brassiere. We get it from French, brassiere. We call it a bra for short. The Germans call it a Bustenhalter. I remember an episode of You've Got Mail. Not You've Got Mail. Heinrich Schernefeld, 350 Rand Super Chat. And Maze, what'd you give me there? 35, Maze. I didn't see that. Thank you for 35 Rand Super Chat. There's the Super Chats. Now they're coming. Thank you, guys. Yeah, an episode of Are You Being Served? They did German Week at Grace Brothers. And Mrs. Slocum says, what are these? Bustenhalter. And Captain Peacock says, that's a brassiere. It's a bra. It got this massive one, like a 48 or something. Big bra brings down, Bustenhalter. Mrs. Slocum says, boy, those German girls can carry a lot of coal in there. Sorry, you wanted something hilarious. I just gave you something hilarious. Etienne is just giving a 14 Rand Super Chat. Thank you for that. Yeah, you know, it's the first week of the month. I thought there'd be a lot more Super Chats, but there weren't. There were plenty, but I thought there'd be more because people got paid. I received the message yesterday to collect my passport and make collection booking today. If you don't, then you'll stand in queue the whole day. There you go, Kathleen. So there's someone else. Read or listen to the news during the day and then wait for Chris to give the real news. Thank you, Londi. Oh, my goodness. Somebody was saying Super Chat, and they've started a stream here. Thank you for that. All right. Driver's license printing machine. Yeah, the driver's license machine that was broken. That's the problem. That's correct. It wasn't the passport. Broken into one of the properties I looked after last night just to break doors and water pipes. Yeah, they're just being malicious now. We applied on 18th of March, and they're ready for collection. There you go. Melanie Fun here. And see, look. Okay, so I'm going to do a poll now, okay? All right. Okay, we got 400 people here, okay? You're anonymous. Folks don't know what your answer is. Have you, did you, or did you, now, this is not a representative sample of my audience for sure. Interesting. Okay, so here's the poll. Did you apply or receive a South African passport because, by typing there, P-A-U-S-E, you are interested in the refugee resettlement, okay? Yes, no, or not interested. There's the poll. Please answer as many people as possible and see. Give some super chats, guys. Spend the money you don't have. Thank you, Tom Long. Okay, so what else? And MCM is back. Just joined. Also having trouble getting bookings for passports. Okay. If you applied and you didn't get it yet, put yes. Okay, because you've applied. Okay, that means you didn't get it, but you applied. We're gonna listen to the news. Okay, got that. Okay, 112 likes. Well, I got 264. Yeah. So I think you just need to refresh your stream. With regard to bank bookings for passports, told to select the last 2 dates when selecting booking date and not 2 week range and log in first thing in the morning, and it worked. There you go. There you go. Well, that's a pretty clever move. Rebecca, thanks for sharing that personal experience. Kai's back. Haven't seen you in a bit. It's low when you have a moment with the Colonel. Thanks for the lag. Huh? Yes, is just a... Well, that's not really germane to the conversation, though. My English has a tendency to run out every day around whiskey number 4. Yep. Went in 3 days to pay traffic fine at Rayton. When offices open, the system's still offline. She advised me to go to ABSA, Post Bank, and Ellsborough. Too lazy to work. Yep, you're right. Too lazy to work. Afrikaans is a more functional language. Okay. Do you think the Congress will pass the individual sanctions list? There is no list. There is no list. Okay, Heinrich, thank you for the 350 rand super chat. What list? What list? There's no list. No list. Ronnie Jackson did not offer a list. I have the entire bill. There's no list of people. There's no addendums. There's no attachments. There's no list. If people are telling you there's a list of people who are on a sanctions list, they either are making predictions or they're filling your head full of nonsense. Here is the entire bill. The entire bill. There's not one mention of any names in here. What it says in here is at the beginning that they want to require full review of the bilateral relationship with the United States and South Africa to identify South African government officials and ANC leaders eligible for the imposition of sanctions and other purposes. So the only other time it talks about sanctions is in the back here when the report on sanctionable persons, section 6, page 13. They are required to get a list from the Secretary of State and Treasury of senior South African government officials and ANC leaders the President determines have engaged in corruption or human rights abuses that would be sufficient based on credible evidence to meet the criteria for the imposition of sanctions pursuant to the authorities provided by the Global Magnitsky Human Rights Accountability. By the way, you don't need this law. You don't need this law to apply to the Magnitsky. You can do that. That applies to any country. We can do that any time. So, look, there's a lot of red herring stuff going on here. Who told you, Heinrich Schönefeld, that there was a list of people being targeted? See, this is the problem. That's fake news. And if you've got someone that says there's a list, I want to know where they got it from. I want to know their source, because there is no source. This is the entire bill. Now, if someone knows Ronnie Jackson personally and he's got his own list of 40 people and he's sharing it privately and not making it public, then just tell us that. But where's the list coming from? It's not coming from the White House, not coming from Trump, not coming from Scott Bessent, not coming from Marco Rubio. So where's it coming from? So I'm asking. Now, I'm not saying that there isn't a list. Somebody might have a list, but there's no list that anyone's aware of. So people, I don't know what they're telling you, where they're getting at, but yeah, he didn't present any list, Heinrich. There's no list. Okay. Only 170 people voted for the poll? Come on, man. Come on. Hotfold Biker says, the list was a prediction that Rob Hersoff did. Aha! Aha! That's what I just said. Someone's projecting or they're telling you bullshit. Well, Rob Hersoff made a prediction. Okay. Then that's what... See, you South Africans got to stick to the facts, man. There's no list. Rob Hersoff made a prediction. Rob Hersoff predicts the following people on the list. Well, I can do that. You ready? Fikile Mabalula, Julius Malema, Nazim Paulson, Nazir Paulson, Cyril Ramaphosa, Paul Mashatile. We can go on and on. I can make these predictions all day long. Maybe the homeowners are starting to sell their houses and get money out of the country before the currency goes to 50. That's possible, too. Thank you for explaining what's going on, Hotfold Bikers. Yeah, it was a prediction. And Rob Hersoff might be 100% on the money. But that's not a fact. Heinrich Schönefeld, thank you for your super chat. I'm not picking Heinrich, but Heinrich said the list that Ronnie Jackson provided. Ronnie Jackson didn't provide any list. Words matter, folks. Words matter. And that's why the news is so screwed up, because people use words loosely. I'm very careful about my words. And if I misstep, I missay something, I come back and I correct it. Do you think the Congress will pass the individual sanctions list that Representative Jackson presented? He didn't present a list. Do you see how that gets changed? Folks, this is just like in kindergarten or in first grade. When you sit down and you whisper in little Liesel's ear, Liesel, monkeys fly. And then Liesel shares it and goes around the room. And by the time it comes back to you, we're talking about diamonds in the sky. Diamonds in the sky? What is this? An Elton John song? Lucy in the sky with diamonds. No, it was monkeys fly. Monkeys fly, not Lucy in the sky with diamonds. You see how things get changed. Ronnie Jackson did not present a list. I have the facts. This is why I present facts, receipts. Here it is. This is what was produced. There's no list. I'm not rubbishing Rob Hersoff, not even meeting. That's what I'm saying. I'm glad that Hotfold Bikers told us that is his projection, because, folks, words matter. You got to get it right. What's going on here? Oh, come on. There we go. Okay, yeah. So words matter, guys. Words matter. Okay, thank you for the super chat. Okay. Lawrence is out of here. Okay. Be careful out there. Misty West Coast, says Teresa. The shooting I told you about that happened in Orania, the police officers now reported News 24. Okay, network. All right, Curiosity Nuggets. I don't recall that. I'm sorry. I've got a lot going on. I'm sure you told me that. So News 24. So when you say NetVec, it's on the Afrikaans version. Government postpones cabinet meeting amid fiscal tensions. Ramaphosa's fortnightly cabinet meeting was postponed due to scheduling issues. Yeah, sure, that's what it was. I'll look here. The problem with News 24 is it does not search all of its universe for data. So, whitest place on earth? No, that's from March of last year. Nope, there's nothing here. So let me try NetVec. NetVec 4. Okay, NetVec 24. Now for Khan's version of this propaganda outlet, ANC and accent say Sukhard na mania sticking in BTW. What the hell is sticking English in there? Okay, now let me try and find Orania here. Okay. I don't see anything here about a shooting. Some murder in a Hof? Is that it? A lot of stories about Irania here. Anyway, not important for right now, but thank you for that story. Okay. They presented their own most wanted list a couple days ago. Okay, well, see, there's another list. That's an actual list, but that's not from the U.S. government, guys. Not leaving. They can chase me to the sea. Lucky I can swim. We'll swim. Okay. We're up to 208 votes. What is an Afrikaner married to a Chinese for many years in South Africa? And they both have a child. John James, I don't know what you're trying to say. I'll try to turn that into something I understand, because I think you're struggling with English. Rudy says, I just want to say, Colonel, you're a blessing to us, and thank you very much for being truthful and accurate with facts. It's my pleasure, Rudy. It's my pleasure. I do the best I can here. List is everyone in government says be able. Okay, so John James, I think, what if an Afrikaner is married to a Chinese, ethnic Chinese, and you have a child? Would they be considered? Of course. If you're an Afrikaner, your child's an Afrikaner. Just because they look different doesn't mean they're an Afrikaner. That's been my point all along. Who defines what an Afrikaner is? Well, if you're an Afrikaner, your family by default gets to go with you. We don't tear up mixed marriages. We don't do that. We're not the National Party. We're not the ANC. No. When we allow refugees to come here, it has nothing to do with that. So anyway, yeah, you should be able to apply as an Afrikaner head of household and get your wife and kid to come along. You should be able to. Yep. 214 votes, like pulling teeth out, man. 400 people outside. People are reticent to vote, or maybe you've never applied. Or maybe I didn't have enough questions. I probably should have said anyway, so. People are selling their houses. Well, good luck with that. Who's having a bride burrito for breakfast? Yeah, Jacob Zoom, of course, yes. Yeah, of course. And Mark donated 150 Rand. Thank you for that, Mark. Thank you so much for all your time and the late nights you spend with us. It's really appreciated. You're very welcome. It's tough now with the consulting, but I'm at the end of this window. So my consulting gig that I've got going ends Friday. So that'll be it. So I catch a breath. Yeah, but again, YouTube crashed my tab. As I said, though, I've got a project this weekend, which means that I'm going to have an irregular broadcasting schedule this weekend. So keep that in mind. Hannes de Beer, good morning. So I want to get back to Monday. I should be, if things go well with the project, I should be back on track. So I'll let you know. If not, it'll be Tuesday or Wednesday. Good morning from Swellendam. Hey, never been to Swellendam, Hannes. I'll have to check it out. Talked about it many times, but never been there. Morsh Snayman, so thanks. I have to go. No idea how it works. Therefore, I need to go to the bank for help. Okay. All right. Dan Driscoll. Yes, I've got that information to Holden. Yep, I've got that. I hadn't got to it yet. Heinrich says, my wording not correct. Will Congress look at that bill, and will they possibly apply sanctions to individual people if passed? Okay. Heinrich, that's different. Yeah, and thank you for the super chat again, Heinrich. Okay, so will Congress look at the bill? Yes, if it's submitted into committee, yes. It'll go to committee, and it'll be reviewed, and they'll mark up the language. They'll change it around. They'll vote on it, and then they'll take it to the floor. The House will vote on it. If they vote on it, then it goes to the Senate. But this is charging a review. It's not listing the people. So this would initiate a review of the people that should go on a list for sanctions. That's what this bill would do. In the meantime, the Trump administration can sanction people at any time under the Global Magnitsky Act. They could do it right now. Boom. Also, by the way, Julius Malema, the Secret Service, could get a warrant from the Attorney General, who could pass it to the International Policing Organization, Interpol, for your arrest, for your violent threat against the President of the United States and Elon Musk. So are you listening, Elon? Are you listening, Trump? Are you listening, Secret Service? Are you listening, Julius Malema? Yep, that could happen anytime. Also, oh, the color just changed. That's weird. Okay. Fix this now. Light sync. Let's go back to purple. Here we go. Yeah, that could happen anytime. That could happen at any time. In fact, there may be a sealed arrest warrant for Julius Malema right now. Could very well be. I'm not saying there is one. There could be one for Julius Malema's conduct. ANC current crackdown on private security companies is disarming the private sector. Yes, they do fear a coup. They do. Yep. Heinrich, did I answer your question now? Mark, thank you for the 150 Rand super chat. Hotful Biker says, no need to explain. You have a life outside of YouTube. Enjoy your weekend. Get some rest. Well, I'm not enjoying my weekend, Hotful Bikers. I wish I was. I wish I was enjoying my weekend, but it's not as simple as that. Odds are I'll be exhausted after this weekend. No doubt about that. Reg Dodd says, inside information got it from a good source. Chris is not in Wyoming this weekend setting up FEMA tents. No, I'm not. I'm not. I am traveling this weekend, but not to Wyoming. If things go well, then I have some interesting news for you next week. So by the time you get back, we'll be looking like a bunch of druggies suffering from withdrawal. Well, that's why I have to keep the withdrawal being as short as possible. I take cough meds. Oh, Mads, I'm sorry to hear that. Always have a valid passport. I didn't need to get one. Same here, Linda van den Nest. But most South Africans, especially white Afrikaners, seem to be, not carrying colors, not carrying passports. Yeah, and you guys, people are complaining 600 Rand for a passport. I'd kill for 600 Rand. That's $33. My passport costs $180, and then I had to pay $20 because it was late. I had to get it shipped overnight. Yep, that's the bottom line there. So are we up to caught up in chat? 244 people voted now. MCN, I caution people about selling their things. You guys are doing that on your own advice, not on my advice. I didn't tell anybody to sell anything. That's like interesting that people who are interviewing those who gave interviews to the embassy are being asked if I have asked for money for helping with the refugee program. I didn't ask for anything. Nope, other than your subscription, which is free. All right, Mr. QB, we'll catch you later. FEMA tents, the number one reason South Africans want to come to America. Holden says the passport photo and postage is an extra fee. There's no postage fee if you order passport in the U.S., and the passport photo is free if you go to AAA and you're a member. So there's no fee for the photo. I can get it for free. Or if you take the photo yourself and meet the standards that are required. Yep. So, yep. 600 for a book that lasts 10 years. Yeah, 60 Rand a year. $3 a year is what your passport costs. Yep. See, that's the wrong question. They should have asked us. Chris asked for super chats or divorce. I don't ask for super chats. I just point out when they don't come. That's all. Ronaldo asks for super chats. I just point out when they're not here. FEMA tents for South Africans is like a weekend camping. Exactly. I bet the embassy have been watching. Oh, Ronell. I have it on good from multiple sources that the embassy knows who I am. And the consulate in Cape Town also knows who I am. I've heard from multiple sources. They know who I am. Yeah, it's interesting because apparently some people are going for interviews. Get this. This is look. I'm not laughing at it, but I find this entertaining. So I'm kind of chuckling a little bit. But some people have gone for interviews and they're asked, "Well, do you know any Americans?" And some of the interviews are like, "Yeah, we know Colonel Wyatt." Oh my goodness. Sporadic Shade donated 70 Rand super chat. Thank you for that. Checking my mother. Hope everyone has a good day. All right, Army. I hope she's well. What is this? I missed something there. I did have a customs officer tell me the airport, the Southern passport cooler than U.S. one. Okay, yeah, ours are kind of plain. Yep. Okay. Saving to pay for 2 passports, says Susan. Okay. Colonel, I've had a passport for years, but the ATNR for my kids is more than I've got. It's a lot of money when you don't have it. Aaron, I got you. I got you. But, you know, I'm bumakum plan, folks. You make a plan. Once we know what's going on with this, if you want to get into it, there's a very real possibility that someone could start a back a buddy campaign. But that's you're going to put yourself out there. I won't get involved in something like that, but someone can do that to raise money, or you know, a wealthy donor could come in and you know. But the problem with giving money to people to go get passports is you'll be defrauded by a lot of people. So the way I would handle it is I would go and take my day for someone who's going and be there, and they all show up at the same time, and then be there and just pay the fee for them when they do their passport. Yep. 2019 were 400 each. Well, they've gone up a little bit since then. Would my fingerprints still be on record with United States Intel and still valid when I worked out? Well, U.S. Intel wouldn't have your fingerprints, Steve Newbold. The U.S. government would have it, and it would likely be in the hands of the FBI in their CODIS database. Yep. Not as a criminal, but in the CODIS database, or wherever they put it. Yeah, U.S. government will have your fingerprints on file. Yep. They don't get rid of that stuff. Been using Wise for 6 years to convert dollars to rates are solid, easy to use, and you can hold funds there until you get an account. Wise, not familiar with it. Thank you for the 70 Rand super chat, Sporadic Shade. Wise. Wise to me is computer, but it's spelled W-Y-S-E. So, Wise. Wise Market. No, it's Weiss. Wise. Wise. Wise Financial. Oh, I don't know. See, that's not helpful. You got to tell me where that's at because there's all kinds of stuff called Wise. Chris 2, South African maxi passports, valid. My nature work, I travel one. The other one goes in for visas, but that's slowed down with my condition. Okay, Monry. Primal Boar, welcome to you. Chris applied for my passport 2 years ago. I received it in a week. We thought it might be wise for many reasons. We must always have one ready. Exactly, Peter. Exactly. Wyoming is a horrible place. FEMA tents are not allowed there. Correct, Alfonso. You don't need SAQA to verify your qualifications. What's that? Okay. Oh, he wants to move to Jeffreys Bay. Okay, well, that's cool. All right, I missed that. Okay, sorry. Good morning. We already had passports because we're tripping to movie in December, says Danica. Well, that worked out well. The authority that governs the standard, like, okay, got you, Yolanda. Thank you. Not needed. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff going on. First, a lot of shysters out there telling you need to pay to get your things converted. You need to, you're going to get to the front of the queue. That's all nonsense. It's all nonsense. Any qualifications you need that is refugee for employment when you come this side, you're going to get help with that. That's even different than what Arctic has done. Arctic came here, he immigrated legitimate hard way, the expensive way to come here. And he's not even really an immigrant. He's working here. But his process will be very different than a refugee. A refugee gets all kinds of help. We spend almost $3 billion a year helping you with employment services, converting your documents and qualifications. Now, how it's done on this side, Arctic may be a subject matter expert in that, but how it's done for a refugee, that's a different story. So, by the way, yellow tulips are looking really nice. Check them out, man. They look really, really nice. And these red and white ones are kind of interesting too, but it looks like they're not going to shoot up. I've got one more batch of tulips. I'm not going to put you in a FEMA tent. If you can buy airtime or have internet to watch streams, you can get a passport. Exactly. And let me continue with that, Rohan. If you can buy airtime or you can buy smokes or you can drink, you've got the ability to buy a passport. You just have to get your priorities in order. Can I post my FEMA tent? So if the refugee asks about your girlfriends in front of your wife, well, Christo, that sounds like you've got a small house issue there, my brother. I can't help with that. Yolanda says I'll look into it. Okay. Selling here in Joburg to move to Jeffreys Bay. Oh no, okay. I see. I'm sorry, but there are other people like I'm going to sell all my stuff. Like you're not even a refugee. You don't even feel leaving. Don't sell your stuff and be destitute living on the street. Wilma's out of here. Sorry to see you go. I lost trust in UK companies. Had issues with. I don't even know who his companies are. Hybo. Martin Fundabev, welcome to you. Heinrich Johannes. Got a quote yesterday for my 2 dogs. 80,000 Rand. There you go. That's actually pretty good, Gerda. That's a really good deal. Wow. 80,000 Rand. Of course, if a bunch of people start leaving, that price could go up. The airlines jack it up. So 80,000 divided by, that's cheap. divided by 20. That's what, $4,000? Yeah, $4,000, man. That's cheap. That's less than I paid for 2 cats to get to Botswana through South Africa. Of course, that was a long time ago. Just pay the IRS to pay you a lot to come here. Okay. State board examination need use equivalency. I don't know what Yolanda's saying. I'm not seeing any of her questions here. USPS is a shit show. No, it's not. Depends where you're shipping internationally, and that's a different story. It's not USPS. That's because it winds up in South African hands. UPS stays in UPS's hands the whole way. That's why it works better. Yolandi Smith, I don't have an answer for you on that one. Don't know if this question was asked. How much cash can you have in your purse if you fly? Well, you have as much cash as you want, but you can get a body cavity search if you're carrying $500,000. No, you can import $10,000 or equivalent. So if you got Krugerrands are worth $10,000, you go over it. Then in theory you have to pay. Not a fine, but a customs fee. Yeah, you can take $10,000 financial instruments duty free. Okay. Economics grad, I told you Trump would fold first. He did. You said I was a troll from his yes. The train's lost. This man has no clue. He's saying, and you're off to work. Look at that, economics grad. Yeah, you are a troll. What kind of person pops in here and lies like that? Trump didn't fold, dude. You obviously didn't watch the program. Trump didn't fold. Yes, you are trolling, economics grad. But, you want to live in your bubble? That's fine. Yeah, you want to live in your bubble? That's fine. $10,000. Yep. Crystal's married. Okay, well, that's all right. Refugee program doesn't work out. We can go to Uruguay. No visa and citizenship in a year. Well, I wouldn't want to go to Uruguay, but yeah. 80,000 can buy you a lot of necessary things in your new country. Yep. You can take out up to $1 million. You must declare more than $10,000. There you go. Yeah, we don't have that program yet. 294 of people. Man, it's slow getting people to do that poll. 100,000 rand for 20-foot container. You can put your mother-in-law inside. I've been using it for many years. I promise you, it's legit and safe. Yeah, I don't know what that is though. You're saying sporadic shade. Never heard of them. You didn't give me more information. You said Wise. I look up Wise. I get a grocery store and I get something else. You get a local financial business and it provides tax assessments in Maryland. Yep. Anyway, yep. All right. So we're going to wrap it up here, an hour and a half, folks. I'm going to hit the rack. Tomorrow is my last day of early morning briefing. I've got 8 o'clock briefing, so I have to be there before 7 to get set up. So that's tomorrow. And then Friday, it's a different one. So cool. American friends who have co-op in Costa Rica, they're very happy there. Yeah, people like Costa Rica. Well, that's not true, Arctic. If you have a laptop, you have a mobile phone, odds are pretty strong that your device is 110-220. The problem is that you'll have to get adapters. So this is my mobile phone charger, and it's 110-220, but that will not fit in your outrageously large outlets in South Africa. So I must have one of these, difficult to acquire and very expensive if you buy them at an airport. That's not where you buy them. You go to an electronics store. You must buy one of these adapters to plug into your ridiculously large South African. We have the biggest penis outlet plugs. Look at that. Our mains have the biggest penis. That's South Africa, okay? So you plug this into there, and then it works perfectly fine because it's 110-220 right here, okay? This adapter. Also takes Australian plugs, takes European plugs, takes them all. So you put the male end into the lady, female end, and then you took the bigger male end, the bigger penis from the South Africans, right into the wall. Okay, now you have to do the reverse. You have to take the big penis with the other end, and it comes out this end with a tiny penis. I'm just saying. Just saying. $80 a month for 4 people in a house. Well, Garrett, then you're going to have to make a plan if you need a passport, all right? If you need a passport, but I can't even answer that. You're welcome, David. All right, we got 300 votes. I'm going to close the poll now. Okay, so let's see the results. Did you apply or receive a U.S. South African passport because you're interested in the refugee program? 59% of those respondents said yes. 33% no. 6% said not interested. Okay, so 313 votes. That means that 20 people out of 313 said they're not interested. So, wow, that's pretty interesting. 3-point plugs are the best. What did Heinrich say? It should benefit USA. What, the refugee program? Not germane. Not germane. Doesn't matter whether it benefits US or not. Taking people who are handicapped, who are blind, who have cancer, people who are physically infirm, people who are retired and can't contribute to the economy doesn't help us at all. It's a burden on us, but we do it. We do it. So those who are healthy, those who can work, will be expected to work. Yep. So it's not the point of the program, as Arctic said. Yep. Man in the mirror saying it's time to go. Yep. All right, you guys. Oh, I'm not going to bed yet. Now I got to finish my taxes. So it's time to do taxes. File them. They're done. I just got to file them now. Okay. Good demo on the plug. You like that, Rudy? You like that? Who's got the biggest balls of them all? He's got big balls. She's got big balls. But who's got the biggest balls of them all? If you buy a 3-prong adapting US and traveling US South Africa, be careful because my one didn't fit. I ended up buying one at the game in South Africa. Yeah, game, that's one option. Ellie's is a better option if you can find an Ellie's if they're still around. Virtual Western Cape is a national asset anywhere. Okay. Kenneth White's also come, same laws against us. Driki is in Namibia. I'm sorry, Driki, it doesn't affect you. If you have South African citizenship and an address in South Africa, you can apply. But if you're not South African, sorry, man. Sorry. Okay. That's it, folks. Hit the like button. Only 363 likes. That's kind of lame. I'm going to get out of here. Got to get up. Last early morning one for this consulting. Then I'm back to my freedom, at least for a little while. All right, Rakes, no worries. Take it from the beginning. Oh, they went bankrupt. That's a shame. I'm not surprised, but that's a shame. Probably done in by COVID. What does it mean if you say do passport screening? I don't know what you mean by the Heinrich passport screening. We screen every passport. That's why you put in a machine, they scan it, it goes into the database, and yeah. So I'm not sure what you mean. Yep. All right, guys. Thanks for you're welcome. Enjoy your day further. Everyone, take care. And I'll have some more stuff for you tomorrow in the afternoon, probably. All right. Cheers. Be safe out there. And it is time to wrap up. Bye-bye.